Yeah. Oh, and then you don't get a second line of pants.
How are we doing over there?
Good.
All right.
And if you don't call, you don't need it.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Here, wear a condom. The condom, you forgot about that. It's the white condom.
Gotta show good behavior.
Oh, yes, yes.
You got it.
We don't have one of those. We need one of those. Panties will work, Dan. Put on the mic, nylon, video.
Pantry hoses, my mom used to say with me. Can you give this over to him to sign? Of course. Hal Robbins.
all right, after a momentary delay of chaos, we have more chaos yet to come. In fact, so much chaos tonight, you'll say, my chaos meter is full. But let me make my standard announcements, please. Welcome to Sacred Grounds, the longest running poetry open mic that we know of in the known and unknown universe. Give yourself a round of applause for being here. Come on, applause, people, come on. We're on the TV there. Poetry and good food since 1972, 71, 75, 74, depending on who you read. And Teddy and Fiona, our hosts, are back there, so give them a nice little warm welcome, because without them, you wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be here, and you'd say, where's Dan? And I'd say, I'm at home in the bathtub. Only kidding. That's a bad image. Too much information.
Yes.
Yeah.
So turn the table around.
Our feature this evening is Serena Toxicat, who is right here. Give her a nice round. A wonderful East Bay poet. There's more, I will give you more information about her, and then she will give you even more information about her as she reads. The keynote this evening is Hal Robbins, right over there, giving the Queen's Kingsway. That's your guy, Kingsway. And then, you know, Wendy forgot that she's the many. Well, there was chaos, and I said, just do what you need to do, and I forgot to, so she may show up later realizing, oh my God, I'm not supposed to do it. Anyway, so, and she has the car, so it's possible. And Mr. Natural set up the streaming, so that's really nice, live streaming over there. If you have a cell phone, now's the time to say, oh, he's telling me to turn my cell phone on. Maybe I should turn it off. How lovely of me. Look at that. All right. Tonight's theme. We do have a theme tonight. Every year, 100,000 Poets for Change does an annual global-wide event.
Yes.
And although their date is this Saturday, we are celebrating here now because we're here now, and we won't be here on Saturday. So I always tell them that we're the early birds, and he says, that's fine, just say our name and wave to the camera. So I'm saying 100,000 Poets for Change, wave to the camera.
Yeah.
The light condom is on, the amp is set up, and I'm going to go over the prizes. I'm going to set them out, the door prizes out, so people at the break can go and look at them rather than hold them all up now because it takes so much time. And my last thing that I almost always forget, the three last things. One is, this is where you sign up to get emails about whatever we do here. I only send out one a week, except a couple of weeks ago I sent out two because I made a horrendous error. But one a week, you put your name in quite clearly. If you're interested in the open mic scene as it is known to me, you may take one of these during the break sometimes. It's a two-sided thing. It's the Poets One Guide. It's also online. And if you read a poem by someone else, I will give you one of these cards, and you will say, what is this cards for? And I will say, these cards is in case you're reading by someone else's name, you put your name, their name, and the name of the poem on this card, and when I write it up, I will not say Charge of the Light Brigade by Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Oh, here, why don't I turn it around for you?
I'm a teacher, I can write upside down.
I'm going to be a teacher tomorrow. I'm going to be a teacher tomorrow. I'm going to a class for the first time since, I don't know, God awful. And it's supposed to be a horrendous class, I was told.
So you'll make it worse.
So I'll make it worse. They said, fake it until you make it. I said, okay, that's your word. All right, so with that all said, now Hal, did you sign up for the open? Also? Did you sign up for the open? Because you're the man.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
My name's there.
I want to make sure because you know, that's the standard procedure. And so there's more people coming in. Are you guys going to participate in the open or just audience? And if anybody has not signed up, now's the time to go like this, so I know that you want to sign up. Anybody else out there? Audience. Because you're always welcome to read your stuff, somebody else's stuff, tell a joke, make fun of those people who need to have fun made of them. I like to sometimes take my favorite political joke, which is... Thank you.
That it may become Jeb soon?
Huh?
That it may transform into
Jeb doesn't have a snowball's chance in Hades. I wish I could say the same for Trump, but Rump will soon take it down. But anyway, let us proceed. For the keynote this evening, we have Mr. the Esteemed and Abaked, Mr. Hal Robbins, who's coming up now to do that. Oh.
Yes, thank you very much. I thought I would, 2 weeks ago I did an excerpt from William Blake's Milton, the first book. I'm going to do a little more of that poem. At last, Enith Arman brought forth Satan, refusing form in vain, the miller of eternity made subservient to the great harvest, that he might go to his own place, prince of the starry wheels beneath the plough of Rintrah, and the harrow of the Almighty in the hands of Palambron, where the starry mills of Satan are built beneath the earth and waters of the mundane shell. Here the three classes of men have their sexual textures woven. The sexual is threefold, the human is fourfold. If you account it wisdom, when you are angry, to be silent and not to show it, I do not account that as wisdom, but folly. O Satan, my youngest born, art thou not prince of the starry hosts and of the wheels of heaven to turn the mills day and night? Art thou not Newton's Pantocrator, weaving the woof of luck? To mortals thy mills seem everything, and the harrow of Shaddai, a scheme of human conduct, invisible and incomprehensible. Get to thy labors at the mills and leave me to my wrath. Satan was going to reply, but Los rolled his loud thunders. Anger me not, thou canst not drive the harrow in pity's paths. Thy work is eternal death with mills and ovens and cauldrons. Trouble me no more, thou canst not have eternal life. So Los spoke, Satan, trembling, retreated, weeping along the way. Mark well my words, for they are of your eternal salvation. Between South Molson Street and Stratford Place, Calvary's foot, where the victims were preparing for sacrifice their cherubim, around their loins pour forth their arrows, and their bosoms beam with all colors of precious stones, and their inmost palaces resounded with preparation of animals, wild and tame. Mark well my words, corporeal friends are spiritual enemies. Mocking druidical mathematical proportion of length, breadth, height, displaying naked beauty with flute and harp and song. Palambron with the fiery harrow in morning returning from breathing fields. Satan fainted beneath the artillery. Christ took on sin in the Virgin's womb and put it off on the cross. All pitied the piteous and was wroth with the wrathful, and Los heard it. And this is the manner of the daughters of Albion in their beauty. Everyone is threefold in head and heart and reins, and everyone has three gates into the three heavens of Beulah, which shine translucent in their foreheads and their bosoms, and their loins surrounded by fires unapproachable. But whom they please, they take up into their heavens in intoxicating delight. For the elect cannot be redeemed, but must be created continually in the offering and the atonement of the cruelty of moral law. Hence the three classes of men take their fixed destinations. They are the two contraries and the reasoning negative. While the females prepare the victims, the males at furnaces and anvils dance the dance of tears and pain. Loud lightnings lash on their limbs as they turn the whirlwinds loose upon the furnaces, lamenting around their anvils, and this their song. Ah, weak and wide astray, ah, shut in narrow doleful form, creeping in reptile flesh upon the bosom of the ground. The eye of man, a little narrow orb, closed up and dark, scarcely beholding the great light conversing with the void. The ear, a little shell, in small volutions shutting out all melody and comprehending only discord and harmony. The tongue, a little moisture fills, a little food it cloys, a little sound it utters, and its cries are faintly heard. Then brings forth moral virtue, the cruel virgin Babylon. Can such an eye judge of the stars, or looking through its tubes measure the sunny rays that point their spears upon Udanadan? Can such an ear filled with the vapors of the yawning pit judge of the true melodious harp struck by a hand divine? Can such closed nostrils feel a joy, or tell of autumn fruits when grapes and figs burst their coverings to the joyful air? Can such a tongue boast of the living waters, or take in aught but the vegetable ratio and loathe the faint delight? Can such closed lips perceive? Alas, folded within themselves, they touch not aught but pallid turn and tremble at every wind. Thus they sing, creating the three classes amid druid rocks. Charles calls on Milton for atonement. Cromwell is ready. James calls for fires in Golgonooza, for heaps of smoking ruins in the night of prosperity and wantonness that he himself created among the daughters of Albion, among the rocks of the Druids, when Satan fainted beneath the arrows of Helenitria and mathematic proportion was subdued by human proportion.
Thank you so much. All right. Now, as is true for all keynote speakers, they come back during the open night, so that we'll hear from him again this evening. Let me read the next 5 people. We have Karen Huff, Buford Blunt, Jimmy Mankind, David Reich, Owen Dunkel, Philip Zimmerman, Justice, and then Hal coming back. So, Ms. Karen Huff, you are up, as they say. Give her a nice round. Welcome to her. That's okay. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's better. Oh, no. So, one of my 3rd grade students walked up to me a couple of days ago, and this is a kid that I've done a couple of poems about. He's had a brain tumor since he was 6 months old. Kid has a great attitude, and one of the things that we share is a passion for marine mammals. So Ralphie walks up and says, "Hey, Miss Huff, do you know why seals like salt water best?" "No, why?" "Because pepper water makes them sneeze." There's your wisdom for the week.
That's good.
I'm buying a boat.
Really?
No. I came to my senses this week.
She knows what it is.
It is a fine madness that seizes me when I see a wooden boat neglected, desperately clinging to its life, when those who should have tended its faithful heart allow it to disintegrate until the merciless sea overwhelms its scuppers and swallows it whole. I can fix this, I say. It will only take 2 or 3 pints of blood. I'm pretty sure I've got 7. Do I really need this apartment? I could live aboard and maybe sail to Belize through the canal next summer if I finish on time. If I give my life to this fine obsession, neglect my poetry, my art, my friends, Make the ship my lover, my child, my muse, my demon.
Not necessarily in that order, right?
You never know with women votes.
Somebody can.
Votes are that way.
Rain on Rosh Hashanah. Wildflowers proliferating on hills, verdant with joy, are as forgotten as towns transformed to memory. Do I need to wait for someone to finish talking?
Start again.
Oh, I said it was the High Holy Jewish holiday, the one and two.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, to mention that.
Let's
But
start
I'm
again.
sorry that
Okay.
I'm sorry that.
It's okay. Sorry, the teacher came out.
Teacher! All right, I've stopped it, so go.
Okay, rain on Rosh Hashanah. Wildflowers proliferating on hills verdant with joy are as forgotten as towns transformed to memory etched in ash in the space of minutes. So today, surprised by water falling unexpectedly from the sky, a sign perhaps of some small grace, we whisper Shana Tova. New kids on the block. I remember Aunt Ivan and the others, hair as slick as cormorant feathers, fluttering fingers muffling giggles until they sounded like so many sparrows twittering in a bush. 10-year-old astronaut girls chasing soap bubbles, chasing new words, new food, planet California, hitting the ground whimpering whenever Metaflight helicopters came in low.
Thank you so much. Give her a nice round. I thought you were going to give him a nice warm welcome as he comes up. And while he's getting set there, thank you. We have the next 4 or 5 presenters are Jimmy, David, Owen, Philip, Justice, Al, and Stephen Colbert. He may be acting with him tomorrow.
Michael, skinny framed body, lively, bright, brown eyes, performs tasks when requested, subdued fingers on the conga drum. The other, a kid named Frank, plays unrestrained. A bit past 5 a.m. At a bit past 5 a.m., the target for my day's survival, riding on the long bus with the aluminum can brigade, one fellow smoking as he walks past me in the bus stop. I cough and curse and move away. I say out loud that cigarettes cost a lot more than he'll make selling those cans. Today, the middle of the week, seemingly shorter, if that's allowed, 1 hour earlier than I go on the other days. A radio blares in Chinese. All right, this is about my grandmother and other things. Big Mama and baseball in the backyard. My grandmother, who raised me young, overfed, but loved me, protected me from the, quote, hoodie redneck kids, as she considered them. I sometimes managed to play with them anyway, especially in baseball. How much time have I got?
You're at 3.
I got 3 minutes left. Okay, great.
It's always good to ask.
That's part of the etiquette. No, it's not good.
Etiquette?
Advantage.
Oh.
Her expensive permanent wave, brownish red hair, beautiful slim body, walks out of the coffee house, wiggling in woolen pants across the semi-quiet San Francisco street. Okay, let me see if I can get one more. Who takes care of him? Is it me? Who takes care of him? Is it me? Is it me? Who comes back from injury to be scrutinized to death? Is it me? Is it me? People who know how to use only methods of failure point their fingers at my progressive efforts, shouting and put down, "It's you, it's you."
And now, Jimmy Mankind. And I'm not going to tell you all the monikers he goes by. Jimmy Hammond.
You just say Jimmy Moniker.
Only the FBI.
Jimmy Arm. Jimmy White.
Only the FBI knows for sure.
Jimmy usually likes to confuse him late. Jimmy Spanish.
Charles Leroy Tirebiter.
They can go like this too.
Better to leave it alone.
How much would it want? $5? He doesn't do that.
No, I can't tell that. Okay, this is a poem called, it's a prose poem, and it's called Wage Slave. It's short. There is a new wave of slavery rising worldwide. It is directly fixed to globalization. Slavery itself is very expensive, however. Our saving grace is the owners have to deal with the purchase of assets, workers, mothers, offspring, the feeding, housing, medicine, some reading, or not, or counting, requiring tending, training, and all the H-E-W that capital fights so hard against today. The new slavery will be wage slavery. That is, the wild and depressing dance between workers and assets, ownership, and the ownership society is such an ongoing atrocity, and that's the future. But in the future, our stories will be about our own journeys, spiritual, mental, and physical, from this plane of our existence, about what we have learned. We will talk to each other. We will be like birds who talk. We'll be displaced angels. We'll feel for everything, every body, and we'll swim in that feeling the way dolphins now swim in the seas. These stories will be our religion. Each human from humus, from homo, home, sapient, from knowing, will be the vesicle of his or her own religion, the sharing of which, stalwart and open and free, should be the new spirit, you all, life of humanity. The telling of our journeys is as much a religion as the ceremonies themselves. That's an old Hopi saying. And the road is our church, our home, rock, hope, our solace, our dream state, our happiness, love, partner, and fear. And the greatest joy in any life will be simply getting out of the house.
Yeah, good.
The way of the upper 10,000. First of all, they do not know that they live this way. Secondly, they have to think of everything. Their lives are infinite, so they have to try harder and settle for approximations like, instead of what's good for humanity or saving Gaia or future generations in the long view, that Iroquois 7th generation thing, they settle for a little more money making now in order to be fixing stuff later. And finally, jobs for others. or all of none of which might actually be viable under the reign after making money. Because sales could go down and there could be a loss of equity. Must be prevented at all costs, because making money now is the only way they can figure they're going to do good later. It's all part of being in the ownership society, making sure things do not fall apart. When the new IPO is done and the sacred process is down to 90-day increments and the stock options are rolling in, we'll consider new programs for the poor. The founders of the firm, those heroes on the wall, are all on the boat to Fantasy Island under their Ayn Rand hologram. Eden, the garden, or for a slightly warmer dead zone than the one they leave us.
Thank you. All right, now David Erdreich is going to come up here, and they'll be speaking to us, but not like I am. And then after him, we have Owen, then Philip, then Justice, then Hal coming back, Louis, then me, then Richard Sandrell.
Not like you, perish forbid.
Six days ago. Living Color. A love poem to the tropics. Her name is Heliconia. She alternates in color. Each pointed pod releases body goddess Babylonia. Her garden hangs in tresses, epiphytes in air, Baja Reke morning mist, kiss tropics mid-drift bare. She is the shape of fertile, the crescents wreath her breasts, shine like stars of orioles, a halo round her nest. And when the blackbird sings her name atop the tallest tree, she smiles at tongues of hummingbirds while buzzing with the bees. So I drove a truck for 18 years, and this was written at the very end of my truck driving career.
What kind of truck?
Big rig. Every brand on the road, pretty much, I drove at one point or another. We won't go there. Not good.
You already did.
What was that?
You already did.
Okay, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it. We'll kick it to the curb. So here's what I wrote the day after my birthday 8 years ago. I wear another man's hat and a different man's shoes. Still got me singing procrastination blues. Sweat on my brow, heart beating too fast. Outraced by the future, living in the past. Currents, eddies, pools. Don't you think it's time I stop being a fool? Got 4 in hand, 1 on the line. Damn that DS, she's so fine. Agitate, antagonization, blood in my eye. Come on, woman, give it another try. Connect, disconnect, reconnect, connect, disconnect, reconnect, connect, disconnect, reconnect. And then last night I looked at that and I said, damn, I should further that one. I got to steal from myself here. So, been chasing a dream that doesn't exist. Blind eye turned to opportunities I missed. Pursuing an illusion that life doesn't change. So many years you've been out of my range. Got to stop looking back, now it's time to move ahead. Impossible to love if my soul is dead. Is that the growl of the road that's shuffling my feet? Better not repeat mistakes, gotta find a new beat. Connect, disconnect, reconnect, connect. Disconnect, reconnect, connect. Disconnect, reconnect. That was written by N. Dada Shame.
The floor, 2
minutes? Okay, so KCSM just finished their pledge drive, the jazz station, and they put out a jazz deck that has 4 different kinds of chords, but they also had quotations from jazz guys, which I'm going to read as many as I can get into you right now. And not all these guys are jazz guys, but a lot of them are, so. And I'll put them all down for you later.
No.
Sometimes you have to play along Sometimes you have to play a long time to be able to play like yourself. Miles Davis.
Picture.
There are two kinds of music, good music and the other kind, Duke Ellington. When you play music, you discover a part of yourself that you never knew existed, Bill Evans. Making the simple complicated is commonplace. Making the complicated simple, awesomely simple, that's creativity, Charlie Mingus. Jazz is my adventure. I'm after new chords, new ways of syncopating, new figures, new runs, how to use notes differently. That's it, just using notes differently, Thelonious Monk. To me, being a musician is like being a doctor. You've got to keep up with all the changes, and the more you learn about your profession, the better off you are, Tony Williams. This is my favorite, shortest, Wayne Shorter. Think about this if you're a musician. Composing is improvisation slowed down.
Yeah.
Yes. Dizzy Gillespie, it's taken all my life to know what not to play. Zoot Sims, as long as you've got your horn in your mouth, you're developing. Ornette Coleman, if someone plays something fantastic that I could never have thought of, it makes me happy to know it exists. Ludwig van Beethoven, don't only practice your art, but force your way into its secrets, for it and knowledge can raise men to the divine. Okay.
There we go.
Thank you, KCSM. Yeah. Your local jazz station.
Thank you for the plug. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. All right. The next four up. Owen, then Philip, then Justice, then Hal return. Give Owen Duncan a nice warm welcome here, please. Let's just put this way around. Okay. And our mini feature of the evening just arrived. Wendy is here, so everything is perfect.
Night star, oh see the star, it glows nymphet-like in the heavens. It glows and pulses, it was there last night. It was as the night air and will stay until tomorrow. It will vanish when day comes and replaces it with blue skies. Her blue eyes sullen in darkness. The skies are sullen, are gray and sick, and gray and full of rainwater. December. Christmas carols. People march on by. The sidewalk suspends and soars on the clouds of forgiveness. The cement-like sky forgives and forgets. It's gloomy, slow roll of heaven. Said, the morning gone to a cement-like sky. All metaphors have vanished to the rainy sky of a winter afternoon. Gone, the day curls up into a ball and does what it was meant to do and not what it was not meant to be. After the rain, the muse of the rain makes me sigh like a mystery of the rainwater. Life is a mystery of rain and flowers, the mystery of metaphor of Omni, Omni. Sleep. Sleep came like a cameo. The rain has vanished with sleep and a metaphor. Sleep came softly and bleats like a sheep. The night goes softly like a new neon lord. Calm. Calm the afternoon arches of branches of fate and gloom. I ride in a room that murmurs like a womb. My mind is like a tomb. No lines came, no metaphors came to slippered rain. To Don Brennan. Your metaphors are a lonely outpost that I pray to in silence, like the loneliness of love. I am the alone quality of your poetry, as your metaphors are those of the earth. Poem. I hold my pen in an observation of the nothing and something of everyday elegance. Spring. Spring trajectory, cake sails, clouds, soar forth, clouds clot the sky, the miracle made swim in, born to be alive, cancer sticks. Please, peace, you seem so fine and full. The wan ways foretell the future, beg now, pay later. You lack the glace to God, and the seashells sing to their motley wives. River donor cactus, God say my last syllables beg the air for more. The trajectory the wind tells you, feel them. The end is near 2 more times. Death and the maiden last till dawn.
Has anybody here got a Honda Accord parked over here on Cole Street?
Yes?
Honda Accord.
Yes?
Blocking the driveway.
I'm not blocking the driveway. Is it the gray one?
Yeah. It's got stickers on it, Jazz. Okay. Blocking the second time you've done it.
Thank you for letting us know what
The fallen shoe. A cup of curds captivates the soul of the ballet of balls and balustrades. Capture the sound of shoes as they mutter their squeak with impossible aloofness. Shoes are the men on the street to the dandified boots, the impression they give of the self-made Jamesian American aristocrat, out to show the world of ordinary shoes, what the streetwise poseur is all about. They lift the not worn out wearer to braggadocio and yes, profundity. Palms. Only the chatting midnight rain beats down from its sultry showers, berates a unicorn upon its sultry towers, chimes from its nocturne time and again, wetting its lips upon my eaves of pain. Its cold branches tell of the hours, laughter and lust become ill, sour as the bleak covenant we call the sea. Gods and princesses all begat, a nimby-voiced, goat-bearded boy. Odysseus set sail, we never sat along your passions and penance. Destroyed the harp of plenty we plucked through the day standing, with the sun at dew. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, that brings us to Mr. Philip Zimmerman. Come on up, Bill. Give him a nice warm round, please, as he comes up here. Where'd he go? He's just over here.
Right here.
Oh! Okay, sorry. It's all right. It's all right. I was looking in the wrong restaurant. Got a really good stage. Okay. You can put your stuff. You can put stuff here if you want. Yeah. In fact, I'd suggest putting this here, so if you forget it. Oh, good. All right. Here you go.
Oh my.
That looks real. Is it? That's a real one.
And an anchor steam.
Yeah.
Those are about 14-year-old.
It's Bill Graham.
Good evening.
All right.
All right. Tonight is the fall equinox. And 48 years ago tonight, on the opposite side of the panhandle, Kenneth Anger performed an invocation of Mercury.
Right.
And it was a performance called Equinox of the Gods. And that invocation is very important in San Francisco history. and I'm here to celebrate that by reading some love poems. So the first one, oh yeah. I used to wear a black one, but now I've decided to go to the white side. Train wreck. Is he a charlatan or a survivor or a prophet of derailment? I stubbornly insist I'm powerful enough to ward it off. He seems to have taken that as a challenge, the rebellious boy. And now I'm left holding the twisted metal tracks of my intentions as the signals decay into half-life semaphore. I still insist I'm powerful enough to ward off the train wreck. Standing in the midst of debris and smoky puffs, such is the magnificent and visionary denial of true love. It just didn't happen. And stepping over the bodies in darkness, I search until I find that light in his eyes again. This day where sterility blooms as sunlight echoes off the sky, this day is a desert I walk rightly, and rightliness is a thrift of soul. My collection of odd ribs strewn along your road I've shed, and the blazing suffocation of your deep absentness my air. Your bolted tower is my desert now, vast, tight, unrelenting, excruciatingly self-referential, a quicksand threatening but not subsuming all hope. As an old man who has found his heart in the fission sun of his youthful mares in you, I fear the mirage that dances on this anvil. Okay, now even though I've gone to the light, these are very, very dark poems here. Godless men. These men have always been present, but in this day, our day, God has withdrawn his digit from the dike and allowed the wave to spread over the cities and towns. The spore is flooded into the darkest, densest crevices of lonely men, their fertile hearts. The men whose only friend, whose mother, whose father, whose employer, whose church congregation is their dick and their wild brains. And the last, songs of the killers. Was the surface of that table green or red? Was it pain or just awakening into a womb of sound when he melted, my hand invisible as it moved along his edge, growing still in frenzy, an entry into fraternity. Thin metal bridge is the road I took, once crossed, is burned, never to return. This loneliness is as deep a color as rich blood or felt. All my brothers in cages or cars somewhere, separate in body, but bound forever in this loneliness together. Go to where the young men grow in rights of manship. Go. Go now. The window of opportunity is fugitive and small. I kill because I'm lonely. So come with me, and we'll spend some time together. I'll paint your skull a friendly blue, and never leave you, never. Thank you.
And Frank. Yeah, right there. Okay.
Ellen,
Yeah, I'll put Steve. All right. Justice is next. Give her a nice round as she comes up here.
in the spirit of 100 100,000 poets for change. The question is, what would you change about the world? No war, no need for soldiers, and no neglect by the VA with vets with Agent Orange. So I dated a lot of vets and helped them transition back from my youth, very young. So I dedicate my reading to them. Sleeping with the New Resistance. We're living the revolution of the new resistance. We have a private tent offensive, Eddie and me. The bedroom is our base camp. Eddie's sleeping his back to me, body naked, muscles tensed, fists clenched, curled around his imagined M16, changing cartridges in his dreams. Man, all the maneuvers. I can see past demolished walls through barbed wired fences to Kodachrome sunsets and moonlit song Saigon shimmers along the riverbank of swaying bamboo, hiding the landmines. Our bed is now an altar, broken and numbing desolation. I'll imagine I'll wake some night with a knife, silent, sharp, blood-curdled, to my throat. The cure, slow moments. In times like this, I get quiet and pretend I captured you with my eyes, how your hair smelled of rain, your shoulders soften like a lover's. I imagine a boat cutting through the moon's reflection, where fireflies whisper a summer of nights. You soften to my touch, yearn for what I offer, forget the scars in sweet and slow moments. Hooked on memory, thank you. Hooked on memory. Took a rush hour bus to see you. I wanted to capture a glimpse of you, capture that moment when you walk into a room, beautiful and broad-shouldered, slow and deliberate. The way you move, that easy stride, that slow saunter. Pretty good for a city boy.
Judge Swift. Now coming back, our keynote, Mr. Hal Robbins. Then we have Louis, then me, then Richard, and our feature coming up after our Richard. Mr. Hal Robbins. Hey, Hal. Don't do this at home. He is a professional.
I usually just like to hold it.
I resemble that.
Way too much. Familiar poems by Robert Frost. I have been one acquainted with the night. I have walked out in rain and back in rain. I have outwalked the farthest city light. I have walked out the longest city lane. I have passed by the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes, unwilling to explain. And I have stopped to hear the sound of feet when far away a distant cry came over housetops from a distant street, but not to say good night or say goodbye. And far above at an unearthly height, one luminary clock against the sky proclaims the time is neither wrong nor right. I have been one acquainted with the night. Thanks, and an equally familiar poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, beside the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sound, the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. I hope I haven't done this one before, I can never remember, but I'll close with Annabel Lee by Eddie Poe. Did I do that before? Good. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, that you may know, by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden, she lived with but one thought, to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted, her and me. And this was the reason that long ago in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, coveted her and me. Yes, this was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind blew out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of others far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above or the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea.
Thank you so much. Hal Robbins. All right, thank you. All right. Louis, then me, then Richard, then our glorious feature of the evening, Serena. All right, give Louis a Merry Christmas. This is like your first time back in
I'm not as tall
as you used to be. But you are statuesque.
Doubt that too. Actually, I was going to do two contrasting love poems, very, very contrasting love poems, and the first was Annabel Lee. So I'm going to skip that one. And I'm substituting William Blake's poem called Never Seek to Tell Thy Love. And I'll do it in the Chinese version. I did a Chinese translation on this, so to get something a little bit different here. I had help from about 6 Chinese friends, some in Shanghai, some in Nanjing, some on trains. Chinese love their poetry. Never seek to tell thy love, 着不成是表达你的爱。Love that never told can be, 着不表达的爱可以存在。For the gentle wind doth move， 因为温和的风移动 ，silently and visibly， 静静的看不见的。I told my love， 我表达的 我的爱我表达了我的爱 I told her all my heart 我表达了她我所有的爱 Trembling cold and ghastly fears 冷冲发抖的在阴森的恐惧啊是他 depart 啊他离开 Soon after she was gone from me 不久之后她离开了我 A traveler came by 旅行者来了 Silently and visibly 静静的看不见的 He took her with a sigh 他带了他叹了口气 That's it Tell people when the poem is over. The poem that yeah. They start throwing tomatoes, she said. If you don't do that. Yeah.
Squash.
Now we have something that is absolutely contrasting to that and Annabelle Lee as well. And this is a translation that I did from Arthur Rimbaud, muchly talked about in years gone by, no longer, but it's his sort of love poem called Vino Arrondio Mune, and he is the bad boy of French literature. I'll read it paragraph by paragraph, translation after the first paragraph. Conduce vers un fer blanc, une tête de femme aux chevaux bruns fortement pommade, d'une vieille bille noire belge, l'entebête avec des déficits de sabre convolvés. As from a green zinc coffin, the head of a woman with heavily pomaded brown hair emerges slowly and sluggishly from an old bathtub with rather poorly repaired patches. Puis la côte gras et gris, le large omoplate qu'essaye, les deux queues qui rentrent et ressortent, puis la ronde des rangs semblant prendre la soie, le graise sous la boue pareille au pouille plate. Then the neck, fat and gray, the large shoulder blades that protrude, the short back that curves in and out, then the curves of the kidney that seem to take flight. The fat under the skin appears as though in flat sheets. Le chine est un pauvre, j'ai la tout sans un goût horrible et étrange au monde. On remarque surtout des singularités qu'il faut voir à la loupe. The backbone is a little red and everything smells horribly strange. One notices in general the oddities that one must see in a magnifying glass. Les rapportants du mot gravé, Clara de nous, et tous ces corps prémous étant ce large groupe, bellissimum cher à nous. On the kidneys are two engraved words, Clara, Venus. All the body wags and extends its large buttocks, hideously beautiful with an ulcer on the anus. Mr. Rimbaud. And you know how he got his reputation? He used to go down the street flicking lice at priests.
I have to say, here's your card. Wow.
But tell him how good his
Oh, you tell him at the break. Yeah, he'll appreciate it.
Perfect.
He says your Chinese is very good. So I mean I can't tell, but he can. So it's really good. I'm glad. And then the French, of course. Bon. Well.
Get my glasses here.
So tonight I have two pieces reflecting perhaps on the 100,000 Poets for Peace. The two pieces relate to that. The first poem is called What Words Can Do, and the second is called Worlds, which I've read here several times and I still love it. So these two actually go together with that theme in mind. So this is What Words Can Do. why have I chosen the solitude of what I call the invisible life, the miracles of which pass unseen, the evidence of which is strife? Of course, nature has sympathy with my cause and its effect, for the world is ever loving and sublime, or so my hopes expect. Now, to the ordinary, common eye view, life's road is easy to envision. One manages the simple wants and plots course of temporal acquisition. But mystic eyes see beyond that veil, and so I'm free, not held in its thrall. For in this life do I wax ecstatic whenever my soul is touched by glory withal. Such events are like unto the sun for all their showering warmth of love. And I am wrapped in a fold of considerations I can't really truly speak well of. Be curious then, and calm words such as these, and you might seek that place where a love by which your soul may take wing has joy presume my face. It surpasses all understanding in the varied delights of this redolent world by far. It is found in the pursuit of the Spirit's inspirational mind. It's as bright as any star. It shines fast in the depths of peace, sounds the soul, and holds all life dear. It is enamored of all things human, and provides insight both perfect and clear. So that's what they can do, and perhaps this is an example of that. Worlds. For Carlos, who's right there, he was to come here very often. He passed away, and this is a poem written with him in mind. Oh, my friends, there are worlds, and good ones, beautiful worlds so wondrous and full of marvels as to make one weep. There are worlds where peace is all there is, and nature let to run rampant. The verges rank with skies and seas full of life. Animals who see your soul's light with hearts innocent of fear or rage. There are worlds gowned in clouds of delight, graced with rivers of love, where ranges upon ranges of emotional peace rest under the glowing countenance of their moons dancing in the firmament. Worlds such as songs are made of, as epic poems might suit, where painters upon an overlook could gaze at a life's work set before them, where God is happy, life tame, and where we'd all be glad to be were we there instead of where we are, dazed and confused by our own earthly illusions. I say, forsake fight and flight. Let go of want, our past, histories, unending sorrows, poor reasoning, and martial drums. For there are worlds, this poor scribbler asserts, no artist could hope to convey without a proper preparation, a long, restful life of enjoyment, a million-year picnic. Then they could provide a semblance of one such word. So I tell you, this is a magnificent universe, well made and fit for who but us, or those of our kind. It is like the mystical Ganges with its endless beaches, where each glowing sand grain is a full repository of galaxies strung like beads set in a glowing firmament of stardust. Like I say, there are worlds, and then there's us, and our longing, our song, so profoundly deep and unending that even this grand universe and all of its works, could it possibly contain it? Or so I feel. Thank you.
Well, maybe that's a little bit about views. Thank you so much. All right. My mother's brother's best friend's uncle's cousin's second neighbor's first cousin on his mom's grandma's uncle's side. Thank you.
And now, Richard Sanderell, before our beautiful and wonderful and multi-talented feature comes to take the stage, just so you're warmed up and ready.
All right. Come on, Richard. Kick it out of the park for us. Is this good for you?
I don't know.
Are you going to use your device?
I'm getting old and I just forget what I print out. Thank you, doctor. Well, let's get this out of the way. Happy Unsaints Day, everybody.
Is it Unsaints Day?
Unsaints Day today, yeah.
Protest of Sarah's canonization.
Oh.
You remember him?
Oh.
Well, somebody said, oh, they remember him.
Yes.
Personally, I hope not. But.
Well, he's an unforgettable character, unfortunately. A man after your own heart.
Well, I was with the people down at the Basilica today. It was quite an honor to be there. And before I say this, I have to say there were 3 Christians who came, and I was quite impressed with what they did. They actually admitted it. They said what they do for when they say they're sorry, and they put their hands together in prayer. And then they got down on their knees and said this is penance. And they actually sat there, or kneeled there, and had got down on their knees and wept and admitted to the genocides. So it was quite amazing to see and quite brave of them to do that. But the one thing we always seem to forget in peace is reconciliation. So anyway, this is a piece I wrote to Frank. Just trying to make sense, Frank. Frank, I want to like you. You're the Catholic's Pope, but you're just a man to me. You continue the cult of personality of Jesus, claiming he is God. Then there's your own infallibility. Help me, my dear Frank. Be as frank as you can be. When you apologize for the murder or genocide of indigenous people to the first indigenous president, Evo Morales, president of Bolivia, for the sins and crimes of the church against indigenous people during the colonial conquest of Americas, how far does that really go? I see John Paul II apologize for the pain and suffering. How long are these apologies going to go on for, and how many are there going to be? At this rate, it may go on for infinity before we just get through all the apologies. Where are the faithful on the Sarah matter? There has been no major outcry, so the faithful must agree with you, Frank. Sad. Native people protest, but is anyone listening? Frank, seriously, Juniper Serra? Really? I heard you might be under the impression he's a local. He's a conquistador priest from Spain who was sent to build missions and enslave and kill native Californians if they ran for freedom or refused Christianity. We are being told that Sierra is a man of his time, as if somehow this allows all this slaving and killing. Adolf Hitler was a man of his time. Do we forgive him and turn him into a saint? He killed the Jews to save them from worse fates, as you say in your twisted logic. If Sarah hadn't rounded up the native people, a fate worse awaited them, you say. Could you describe what that might look like? The only thing worse that could be is outright murder. Native people have written you about your feelings, and you are mute. Main question, Frank, is this. What would Jesus have to say about your conversion tactics? Do you think he approved? Is this why Sierra gets to be a saint? Your pronouncements about Sierra is just another continuation of disrespecting indigenous people and leaves your apology ringing as hollow as your church bells ringing, bringing in the sheep. Shearing, yes, well, that's a good thing, actually. I've been doing a series of coyote stories. This is a coyote short. I wonder what goes through their minds. What I wonder, though, is just another thought in the art of blunder, goes through the craniums containing scrambled egg-like substance. They stare vacuously into nothingness. Elder woman struggles with the weight of her husband in a wheelchair. No one showing fondness for kindness this day. Young laugh, talk fashion. He says good shoes are important. Young Grigos knows fashion, but not compassion. Others on devices of communication give renunciation to the outside world. Bus driver burned out on helping humanity watches frozen in the seat held by some force that latches him in his place. It is the elder who made sure that that there was fondness for kindness this day. That elder is Coyote.
Richard Sandwell.
One more. This is called Night Shines Day. I got cloth, time to shine dark day, excuse me, let me start over. I get cloth, time to shine day, night, that brings day. Glide as all things flow through starry-eyed galaxies, meet my love. She studies, participates in what life has to offer from world, mind, body, soul. She has no reason to be forgiven. She does not see things as sins, but learnings. If not learned, repeated, tragic. She's ornamented with black diamonds that take away their radiance. When sun rises, the black of night remains with her. Stardust falls during the night onto her hair, winking at me as she circles. Mesmerize, draw me in. They wonder why I love snakes, representing male, female, transforming cultures. Lose ourselves in eyes looking for that invitation to remain. One who binds you to the spell, transfixes, hypnotizes, enthralls as outside worlds die. Mesmerize.
Richard Sandwell. All right, I get to do my favorite thing. Where the heck is this? Here we go. All right.
So, Serena Toxicat, Toxicat, just to make sure you understand. And she tells me that that was a name that she put on her Facebook, but they didn't like it, so they told her to take it off. Is that right?
Yeah, I was able to have it for, I don't know, 6 years or
And then all of a
something.
sudden they said,
Yeah, I think it's trolls who flag the names that don't sound like
names or
authentic
something.
names. But the name I'm using is not my birth name or legal name, but since it sounds more like
a regular name.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they did Indian people, they wouldn't let them put their names on either.
or trans people.
Yeah.
What kind of people? Native people. Couldn't put on their traditional names.
And trans people also. I mean, they have this thing going on about names. It's
Like
like,
Wilma Man Killer, she can't put her name on it?
no. So anyway, let me give you a brief introduction here. First off, she's a really good poet, known in the East Bay. She's also a musician, singer-songwriter. I don't remember if I got that.
I'm a singer.
She's a singer, so she has singing. She has a CD here, a couple of books. This is the most recent one, Ghosts in Bones, and there's a reason why that's the name, and I think when she reads, you'll understand that. I can let you surprise them.
Yes.
The thing that I noticed when I heard her read, I saw her on YouTube, there's a couple of places that I went, is she has a reason to say what she does. She has issues which are particular to her, but then when you think about it, she is sympathetic to the causes of many people, because when you have things going on that are unfair to you, you kind of become sympathetic with other people who are not being treated fairly also. And so her heart is an open one, and it's one that is inclusive, compassionate, and understanding. And it's a really nice, it's like a breath of fresh air when you think about what's going on in the real world. You say, oh, here's somebody that's nice to hear. I like that. I'll hear some more. And thus she has become a feature here. So it's really, it's wonderful. You'll enjoy this, and I want to thank you in particular. We weren't introduced, but you saw to it that she got here, so I'm thanking you also. So you can't just be sitting on.
Yes, what is your name?
Luca.
Zuka?
Luca.
Lucas. L-U-C-A-S.
L-U-C-A.
So this is Luca. He was responsible for getting her here. Without him, she wouldn't have been here without him in a long time.
That was the sidecar practicing.
Yes. Motorcycle and sidecar, can you believe that? And she was practicing on her way here. So she is ready, and we are ready. And this is going to be really fun for me, and I hope, I'm sure it will be for you. Serena, come forward, please.
And let me just make sure this is the way you like it. And she has books here for consideration afterwards. We're going to take a break like we normally do after the feature. Just want to make sure this is set up for her correctly.
I don't know if it's 20 minutes all at once.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, so yeah, that's fine. Either way is fine with me.
Okay.
I'm going to do the first two, and then I have a couple of places. You'll hear it. You'll see it in there. Well, you'll hear it in my
Are you watching it online? Are you doing this?
No, I'm about to record it.
Oh, okay. All right. Give her a nice round of applause.
Thank you for inviting me. It was really nice to hear everybody. I actually have featured here, but it was back in the 90s, like mid-90s. So.
Can you speak up?
Oh, I featured here in the mid-90s several times. Hi, Damien. Thank you for coming. Rachel, thank you. So, I have the privilege of being able to speak for a vulnerable population of people in the mental health community who are not given the same, resources. Really what it comes down to is money for treatment, for research, the resources, and the respect that they deserve. It's eating disorder sufferers. So I'm privileged to be able to be the mouthpiece for them and, well, for us, and I hope that I do everybody justice. We'll see. I am a complex willow of a woman. There are many things that I do and have, multiple interests, passions, loves, and little plagues. They are branches extending from the core that I view as I. When I try and try and try to fade out and become static, when even the skin of my face goes gray, writing my story feels somehow opulent. When I am utterly confounded that my heart is still beating, that my kidneys, liver, brain, and muscles still function in spite of my every attempt to minimize and shed them, saying, "Here I am," can seem like an obscene riddle. I have the wardrobe of an Aquarian alien goth, and I work it, even now in my mid-40s. I rock makeup, my hair is dyed in peacock colors, my skin is floridly illustrated in ink. I sing in my own band and record vocals for others. I act, model, read my books out loud, and sign them as if my very name is something special. I have danced in burlesque shows in varying phases of undress. And wait, there's more, much more. Appear, dress, pose, rest, get ready, redo. I built this life and choose it every moment, even when I forget I do so. I should not expect to disappear as if it makes sense. And yet I must be a paradox, a we, or at least a weak I, egosyntonic with my sickness. I want the attention, but only if it's the kind that suits my fancy. Can I have it both ways? I can get hostile when gawked at and want to be left alone. After all, adorning myself to my liking does not make me an ornament or public property to be weighed in on, torn down, or molded. I crave being heard, recognized, and gotten. You can't always get what you want. As I type this, I starve. I just drank a clay mixture. It might cleanse me of toxins and parasites like it promises, or not. I just want to ditch the substance, my substance. My body remembers itself emaciated. Restriction of food hurts my joints, head, and muscles, and I don't like how my meallessness aged my face when I was at my worst, but I seek emaciation's confounding comfort. Eating is only part of the problem. We anorectics don't just deprive ourselves of nutrients, we starve ourselves of relationships. We'd just as soon be alone with our disease. I have distanced people whom I had the audacity to let in by disappearing, sometimes to different countries, or by acting out to push them away. Then it was their idea to leave. The onus was on them, and I could blame this or that shortcoming or screw-up of theirs. When one method didn't do the trick, I'd try another. Defense and offense can both be offensive. It's not love that stinks, but the imperfect human channel through which it flows. Now that I'm telling you this, I feel shitty, and hope the partners of my younger days have forgiven me, but I would understand if they can't. I tried to save them from me and save myself from love. What did we deserve? I shed some abusers, but failed to cultivate real partnership with good people. A good person would try to put a stop to this, and that's everything my disease doesn't want. I wait to die impatiently. I couldn't be this forthcoming if I expected to outlive this thing. The natural struggle to survive feels like a revolutionary act. Do I have it in me? I want not to be reincarnated, and fear I will be anyway. I adore my cat, and there are many people I love, but I hate being soldered to this earth. I am alarmed by the frequency of the word I already appearing on these pages. This is a letter to you, which I'm writing so you don't become me. I live in a place where, within the greater climate of the thin ideal, curvy is the desired state of femaleness. I don't care, and neither does my anorexia, which I've dubbed the beast. I could be living on a ring of Saturn. I certainly feel spacey enough. While I now teeter on the line that divides desirably thin and freakishly skinny, not long ago I was simply scary. Hauntingly beautiful, but scarier than the scariest skinny models, Dr. Austerlitz, my psychiatrist, declared. I didn't believe him. The beautiful part was objectively untrue. Health is beauty, doesn't he know? People whispered and stared. Jaws dropped. Funny picturing other people's bones for once. Random schmucks have conspired and giggled and said things they weren't raised to say. I'm skinny, so that's still an acceptable offense because the thin have unearned advantages in our society and there is a backlash. I was terrifying. Thin girl envy had left the bare bones building that was standing in for my body. My companion, Anatoly, lamented that I had sacrificed my sexual attractiveness to this disease. I did. On purpose, some would speculate. I don't know, but either way, I threw it in a pit and tried to flush it out with pills and powders. My hip bones turned me into a human poultry carcass. That's what I imagine now, a chicken or turkey exposed to the bone after a feast. I still want to feel my bones, grab and palpate them to know they're real, and hold on to them as if they might go somewhere. They still protrude, but I crave what they were, jagged, extreme, undeniable. I don't want this. It's complex. I don't want this. I want to hold on to this because I have to. I defend my disease, cover its tracks, put its needs before my own, erase it with recovery gestures over and over again. How long can this possibly last? My birthday is coming up on me. I am light, but there's a different heaviness. I ache. My limbs can't rest atop or against each other when I sleep without hurting. My body is a burden upon itself. I feel even more listless than usual. With the beast starving me, I don't get as many colds and flus somehow, but bacterial infections have grown frequent. I often suffer episodes of depression around my birthdays, which feel just like a touch of flu the first days in. My friend Idris conjectured that my birthdays have been a sensitive time because of my adoption. No idea if that's why, but then again, I haven't given it much thought. When you live in the water, you don't wonder what wet feels like. It's hard to attribute individual issues to adoption when you've known you were adopted since early childhood. Perhaps transracial adoptees are forced to make adoptee their identity, as they are reminded each day that they are different from their parents. I'm a trans-ethnic adoptee, partly anyway, ambiguous enough to blend. I was made aware of my status often enough to get annoyed, but could leave the house with my family without eliciting stares. My brother, who was not adopted, is 6 months my junior, but looked a couple years older throughout our childhood. He resembles our mom and takes after our departed first-generation Italian-American athlete dad. I'm not like either parent in looks or disposition, but humans are like humans are like humans. I love them both, bugs and all. I love my mom, who is alive, kicking cancer's butt, and remarried in upstate New York. I called her Moon Lady as a kid, so why not resurrect the title for the purpose of this missive? I guess that mom-moon connection can't help but reveal itself. It is one of the most ancient archetypes for female power, after all. I will always love Dad, whom I call Dude, even though, a name he hated, I might add. As a favor to his ghost, I will stick with Dad, even though he expressly wrote me out of his will, and I'd have every right to call him worse. He died in debt, but there were things he left behind. Sentimental objects would have sufficed. I didn't need a business to run or a car to drive. I still speculate about why he cut me out. Was it the sway of his last wife when he was ill? Was I too weird, too crazy, or both? I was gearing up to send in a saliva sample for a DNA test to find out what medical predispositions showed up. Someone at my birth family had to be sick in the head. I was also curious about my ethnic background. Things are changing, but the closed adoption system is notorious for muddying facts and obscuring information, either accidentally or intentionally. Sometimes it's to protect the birth parent's privacy, and other times there are darker motives. Where are those moles when a cat girl needs them? A volunteer had already uncovered my birth parents' names, but those proved useless in locating them. The internet yielded zilch. After writing and mailing a dozen letters to the wrong people with the right names, I turned to a private investigator. Nothing recent showed up in his search, and he concluded that they must not want to be found. Were they hiding from me after so many years? Would they put that much effort into the invisible me? I wrestle with insomnia. My anxiety keeps me awake. It's not about my birth parents. The ghost of them has been a trigger, but only a minor one. It's more the horrors of the world. I also have OCD. Obsessive compulsive disorder is an anxiety condition characterized by intrusive thoughts that produce uneasiness, apprehension, fear, and worry. Follow the rules, do the rituals, or something much worse will spring out of the abyss and consume us. One anxiety form shifts into the other. I bargain with insomnia. Starvation doesn't help. It makes me electric, and I will usually nibble something rather than feel that way these days. These nights, rather. Maybe things have changed and that hospital did me some good. I haven't misused activated charcoal these last months, but I did buy a bentonite cleanse. The charcoal capsules dehydrated me and woke me with a deep, dull headache. During the night, I'd awaken at intervals with my head nodding, a staccato that I intuited as electrolyte imbalance. Of course, the indication is 1 or 2 capsules, not 16 in one go. As my friend Audra pointed out, anything in excess violates number 10 of the 42 law ideals of Ma'at. I consume only my fair share. Let this book be a cautionary tale. There's always some diet pill and usually a cocktail of them. They work negligibly and make me feel like I've done something about my worry. Mostly they give me energy. It's stunning how physically and mentally stuck one can get inside fatigue without adequate nutrition. I'm not sure how worth the money diet supplements are now that my disability benefits have been cut off, especially considering the discomfort some of them inflict, but my anxiety disorder needs them because the beast told me so. Ironically, the beast claims that the anxiety starvation causes is a sacrifice we have to make. I don't dignify the beast by capitalizing its name or assigning it a gender anymore. Small b, big biatch. Palpitations, jitters, anxiety, damned if I do. Eating, no pills as a chaser. Anxiety, damned if I don't. The beast is a pud, and it should know that sleep aids in weight loss. Doi. Food is fuel. That's what I hear all the time from everyone, everywhere. Maybe we're just vehicles like cars, planes, and ships. The body is a vessel for the soul. Isn't that what we always hear? Starvation thins the barrier between the solid and the ineffable. Body, mind, soul, spirit, goddess within, ghost encased in bones, the great expanse. Indeed, I feel closer to the all that is when I'm floating at half-mast from my flesh. You could spoil the romance for me and call this feeling a high. I'm sure it's not that different from a common stoner state. Knowing that I could expire as easily as a loaf of bread ignites a heightened sense of things. A trip to a museum turns rarefied, special, dramatic. I made a bucket list. Make sure my cat will be well cared for. Get all the tattoos I have been planning for years. Pay a closet organizer to come over and separate the keepers from the for sales, from the giveaways. Hire a personal shopper, even if it's just in a department store. Travel to some new places and to the ones that hold nostalgia. Organize rituals in the temple and say farewell to friends. Mundane and sublime. I guess that sums me up. I published a style guide called Lookbook for Wayward Aliens, and one of the captions reads, "You can be spiritual and chic." In my worldview, as long as the journey remains the focal point, who cares what color the roads are? The same is true of recovery. As long as my eye is on the road, the scenery shouldn't distract me. Unfortunately, a better relapse is what I crave now. Why on earth would I want to slide back into that ditch? I don't. The beast does. And the beast is a bitch. Last night I ate pizza and fries. Who would eat those together? My Anatoly, whom I've nicknamed Anakotik for the Russian cat factor, would. He ordered them and I partook. I've forgotten how to make a French fry last for hours worth of bites and how to freak out because the orangey color in soups and sauces might be oil. This is progress and I should be happy. Not just happy, but proud. Whatever. I'm pissed and disappointed if you want to know the truth. That's how an eating disorder works. I'm simply not far enough along in my recovery to assign anything positive to this new lax attitude. I look back and hear and see and feel the good parts. There were none, but when has logic ever intervened? I brush over the bad because, well, that's how an eating disorder works. I was crazy, so crazy mad before treatment. My mood switched every few seconds. Fuck you, I'm sorry. Fuck you, I'm sorry. And variations on the theme. With every ounce lost, it worsened. I melted and melted. My mind was a candle, my eyes a puddle, my mouth no longer a guarded fortress, but an escape route for desperate perceptions. I had sunk under waves of anger, feeling rage for having been born. Now I am crazy enough to try to walk myself down the steps this beast built. Act as if. Blow life back into the beast. Follow the steps. Make the moves. Mindset will follow actions. I try, but the desire falls away fast, so maybe I am recovering, but how do all my parts align to feel it, to want it? This affliction has secondary gains: weight loss, flight, familiarity. I miss the good things. This is a sick union. Resetting the restriction rules and restarting rituals around food after a recovery stint is the honeymoon. I imagine that some drugs would set up susceptible users for the same dynamic. I have tried enough of them to have a faint idea of it, but never fell into addiction. I smoked cigarettes years ago, but never became euphoric when picking the habit back up, which I did during episodes of grief and stress and periods of recklessness and hopelessness. I granted my smoking habit permission as I now give the beast permission. Who would expect me to quit smoking when I'm in crisis, living in a house full of heroin users or speed freaks, getting evicted, becoming homeless, breaking up with my partner, going manic, getting depressed? But I did quit. Who would expect me to eat when someone I love got diagnosed with cancer, my partner cheated, and my cat passed away? Of course, all of my loved ones expected me to eat. They cared for me and wanted me alive. Eating disorders are not addictions, but there are some similarities. I depend on my behaviors because they relieve my anxiety, or seem to anyway. Obsessive-compulsive disorder serves that function too, however, and my OCD and anorexia appear to share the same underpinnings. So then it goes into, thank you, then it goes into the second chapter. Thank you. This is the story of absence, not just from treatment, but from the center of a life. Dr. Austerlitz says, living is action. I concede that relentless sensing is an entropy, which becomes an exit. I should explain how I came to live sandwiched between walls with my autonomy splattered. If you are what you eat, I was plates of soggy bread and syrup and questionable fruit. Never again, hospital, I did not like you. You were tougher than my eating disorder at times. 5 days in the medical ward and 40 days and nights in treatment exile. I was no survivor Christ eating locusts in the desert, that's for sure. Getting me there was a Herculean effort, and it wasn't I making that effort. In fact, I made a lion-hearted attempt to escape into hiding, that or die. I'd confessed to my sister-in-law, Kathleen, who was my brother Mateo's wife, and to several friends, including my tattoo artist, Ima, that I had a problem. Outside of websites and support groups, they were the only people to whom I could admit, or at least not deny, my disease. They loved me and wanted me well. It wasn't some big shock, and nobody abandoned me because of it. I revealed to my mother on the phone that I was on the verge of emaciation. She said yeah and changed the subject. Not a very engaged response. I needed to stop with the hints and lay it out, or I'd just keep getting frustrated. It seemed like she had forgotten the onset of this thing. That was a long time ago. How do you tell your mom you're sick with an adolescent's disorder when you're old enough to be the mom of an adolescent yourself? Ima reflected that sometimes the people who love us the most, including moms, are unable to help us because they are so freaked out by what they are seeing and hearing that they'd rather bathe in a river of denial. She figured the root of all this pain of mine was the desire to die, and that I deserved instead to live. If I didn't want to live, there would be no shriek who could fix me. There was still more for me on this watery earth. Actually, I'm going to skip into this part that has some poetry because, you know, we're at a poetry. Yeah, okay. So, hey, I might as well throw some poetry in with the prose. Sekhmet of the vast desert, mother of tumult, of hot sand rolling into glyphs, our fragments are fused by your initiation, our parts joined by your power in its pure intent. You make sense of the sand, you make clear our path upon the back of Geb. Ra's rebirth sheds order upon velvet earth each day. Sekhmet healer, we are home. Sekhmet mother, we are yours. Sekhmet mender, we are whole. Vengeful eye of Ra, lioness in chaotic nature, reigning in restless dust and relentless sun, surviving the self-created, emerging, enduring, restoring, thriving. Red sand writes our road. Mother of Ma'at, we are birthed by you. Mender of selves, we are one in you. The desert arches its back, shakes off the sky.
You see what I mean? Issues and unfairness of life and strangeness has given her a chance to reach out and help other people. And she gave you a little bit about herself and what's going on there. So we're going to take a little break, about 10 minutes. She has books here, and then I've also set out the door prizes here and the e-mailing list there. So schmooze and socialize. We'll be back in 10 minutes, and then take a look at these various things here.
Yeah, no, I know. We just did the feature, so we're down the second. So, a teacher.
It's only got there was a lot of friendship in the room, like a lot of them.
Well, we knew each other. Some of them knew me. Naturally, I'll let you know anything about
I'm just glad that, and then the Octopus Salon at this bookstore called the Octopus. It's about 2 blocks from the church. And they have something here every night. The woman is very...
I did it once. It's really fun. It's very popular. You'll love the crowd. It's interesting. So that was fun. I've enjoyed listening.
I have a radio show, or a podcast actually, and we're going to do a simulcast which has some features of live shows. It's like my nightclub, in which I have poetry. So I realize I'm only making that it's coming up. But there are but if I get we both write him, Mike
and his girlfriend, she's also great. And I've always tried to do a thing together once or twice, and she'll dance out. It's colorful and kind of hippie and not, and we're all very free-spirited. Very
I do get periodic announcements, so
I really like it. You're so busy working.
Hard to get an audience together that will appreciate this.
They were grateful. I don't think anybody judges her all bars and everyone is very successful.
It wasn't challenging, it wasn't pretentious, it was welcoming.
I seen him at a couple of I don't have
Right. You never know till you try. Had the performances where they throw that's across the street from my house, but I haven't visited for years. Back in the day, but now no longer.
Kathleen is so Kathleen Wood?
Well,
a greenish tint to it, the glass. It's picking up green sometimes. And I was wondering if that was one of what do they call that? Greenware. Is it greenware?
It's got uranium in it.
Is that it?
Gasoline glass.
But it was somewhere, right?
Yeah, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, these are just.
Well, that was a great green. Thank you.
Because you're the closest. Well, sometimes there's enough pieces to pull out all the way.
From 48 years ago? Wow. Unless you were like 7 years older than you.
But I'm interested in talking with anybody who was there. And I have tracked down a few people.
Oh, you know who you could go to? Hey, if you email me, I'll forward it. Nicole Savage.
Okay.
She got here in '67, and she knows all those people.
Parking spot. The second time I did it, she was great. I just didn't, that's not what I usually pay attention to. I just missed it in the dark. Yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, how many people do they get? Some people don't even make it out. That was there for 2 hours, 3 hours. So this is here. Yeah, but probably need about this.
For you, our friend was 30, 40 years ago in a bag of chicken out of the car. And my mother's name is better. Life's little tricks for your kids. Broken heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for a wonderful second half. Ladies and gentlemen, we dress you formally, undress you informally, make a mess of it, and express it. So we're ready to go. Let me just read the list. We have the next 4 readers: Al Nightingale, Steve Anderson, Kevin Reinhardt, Lucy, how do you say this?
Lee Greif.
Say it again?
Lee Greif.
I can't hear you.
Lee Greif.
Lee Greif. Thank you. And then Garrett, and then Wendy Walters, the mini feature of the evening, our clincher closer, super duper bulldozer. So, let us get organized, focused, and taken care of, please.
Move this mic. Oh, and just while we're getting organized, at any time after you want to sign up for the open mic, that's it. And I will introduce the door prizes afterwards.
And Mr. Al Nightingale, please come join. Give him a round of applause.
There's your